you had a line up in two lines, and right away, about 100 yards away or more, there was this little white round circle, and that was where you had to walk to.
You're so excited, so you're on edge all the time.
When we were going up the tunnel, all you could hear was a buzz, like a beehive at the end of this tunnel.
Any minute we'll hit the sound.
There was an explosion of noise and colour that just drove most thoughts out of your mind.
The sound sort of ripples all the way around, and as you walk out,
It's weird, it was incredible. It scares you, but it doesn't half lift you. It must have been frightening for the German lads. We were a group, we were all together. So if you were playing against any of us, you were playing against all of us.
We had a good blend, we had a good manager, we had good players, good system. We really just got on with each other.
The number of people that tell you where they were on that day, it's one of those special days in the British public's life.
I've come here to meet up with the boys of 1966, and I've got a nice little surprise for them. I suppose it's right that we had to come back to this hotel. It was a must, because this was the hotel, I believe, that you came back to when you won it. Any real great memories of how it was when you came back? How long was it after the match was won? Did you spend in the dressing room before you got on the bus, and then you made this triumphant trip here? What was that like?
It was absolutely incredible. I mean, it was just always a coronation. I mean, the noise was absolutely fantastic.
The streets around here, it was just continuous noise, all the night.
We were driving through Paddington and Notting Hill. Every window was open.
And when we got here, the first thing we did, we came in to the bottom thinking we could go and have a drink, and now I've got us up the stairs. You've got to go up the stairs. And somebody pulled me out of the bar, I think it was, and said, no, you've got to be up there. And so we went up.
And then we just came on the balcony here. It was just absolutely fantastic.
As the tournament was looming up, there were lots of dark horses and big favourites in the tournament. England were one of them, but the big danger, naturally, then would still be Brazil. Were you in a bit of dread of them?
I don't think we were in dread of them. I think, we respected them because they're, such a great side, and, especially with Pelé in it again. And, I mean, they were a great side. But don't forget, they're having to come and play in our backyard. It's a bit different from playing, somewhere else.
You're quite right, and we did have a little thing in the back of our mind about Brazil, because they were the world champions and had been for the last two competitions.
So in spite of the fact that they won it in 58, won it again in 62, it was now 1966, you were going to maybe possibly play them again, it wasn't a fear in you?
Well, I'd never played against them anyway or whatever, you know what I mean? So, again, if you don't know fear, do you? But as I say, they were more or less the big favourites.
The other team that was daunting to us, which was West Germany. If you remembered, we played against them before the World Cup. There was always a chance that we were going to meet them in the World Cup. They progressed and we progressed. It was odds-on favourite that we were going to play at some stage. So, how did you feel about that looming up?
We played them, and I think it was around the February of that year, and actually, I scored. I didn't score many.
As England kicked off against West Germany at Wembley, it was a foretaste of the World Cup competition in which both countries have high hopes. England, white shirts, tried out Alf Ramsey's new tactics, and the Germans were reported to have some novel ideas too. Banks was coolly in command here. Near half-time, full-back George Cohen put the ball in the goal mouth. Hunt's header didn't quite make it, but Styles scored.
Ball, he crossed it, Roger Hunt come in, and I think he hit it or headed in, it dropped, and as it dropped, I whacked it in. But the trick question is, I wore the number 9. That's the only time I ever wore the number 9, and that's why I remember it. We won 1-0. Alf Ramsey's comments in the papers the next day was, if this is the result in the World Cup final, I'll be delighted. Now, he wasn't far out.
Officials of FIFA, the International Football Federation, met to make the draw for the World Cup competition.
I want to put this sequence of matches now on the board on the left. England versus Uruguay in the opening match on July the 11th at Wembley.
A representative of the Brazil FA returned the World Cup his country holds to the keeping of FIFA.
Whether they will leave it here permanently or just temporarily will be seen in July.
The draw had been made, actually in this hotel. Can you tell us how you felt about it?
I think we felt that we were glad that we'd missed Brazil. That was the biggest thing. And obviously Germany. And Portugal, because they had Eusebio.
Wembley was the only possible choice for the opening match of the World Cup finals.
It now gives me great pleasure to declare open the 8th World Football Championships.
In cup final and international style, the teams entered the arena. England in tracksuit tops. What a pleasing touch it was when England captain Bobby Moore presented the Queen with a bouquet. FIFA President Sir Stanley Rouse led the applause. England kicked from right to left. They adopted the 4-3-3 formation, hoping for that best of football tonics an early goal. Bobby Moore and his men had the priceless advantage of playing at home, the big majority of the near 100,000 crowd rooting for them. It was one of those games when goals just won't come. Right to the end, both goals survived. Disconsolately, England left the field. The best team that manager Alf Ramsey could muster was not good enough to win.
The Uruguay game was as it was. We were frightened to overcommit ourselves against a team who also had won a World Cup. They won the first World Cup, Uruguay, so they had good players. But you always will find that in the beginning of most competitions, people, even the winner, will finish up having a draw in the opening game to get something on the board. Then you know what you've got to do in the next game. You've got to win the next game, so you know you can approach it in a certain way. And we did against Mexico.
Bobby's picked that ball up, and I was right behind him. And he's dropped his shoulder, gone on, checked again, and when he hit it, as soon as he hit it, I knew it. And it was top corner, whatever. And that lifted us like anything. You could feel us. Now we're starting to believe, and as we went along, we got more together and more together, as though we couldn't be beaten, you know.
But you beat France.
We beat France 2-0.
You know, we're scoring goals, but we weren't giving goals away. That's a big thing. And I think we were getting that confidence, weren't we? You know.
And we watched every game on television. So, first of all, you see young Franz Beckenbauer, who we'd never even seen before. We didn't know who he was. And then suddenly, he was scoring 2 goals against Switzerland, some more against Uruguay, etc. And then you watch other teams. We watched every game, I think, of all the other teams right up till we played them.
So you've qualified, you come through the group matches. Next match is Argentina. What were the changes? Did Alf make any changes in the team for that match?
Bobby, I came out of the team after the Uruguay game, and they won 2-0, 2-0, and I'm sat thinking, well, my World Cup's finished. And he came to me and he said, you will play right side against Argentina. I just couldn't believe it. Because the lads had played terrific, they won 2-0, 2-0. I hadn't been part of that. And then Alf said they've got a left full-back called Marzolino, and I need you to stop him from marauding forward because he's a big plus in their game. And I got another chance then.
So you got your chance, Alan. You played. Jimmy Greaves was sidelined. Now he couldn't play against Argentina. So how did that affect the team?
Because of that, Geoff Hurst has come into the side. And as it turns out, that Geoff Hurst became a sub after it because he got a hat-trick, you know.
There's no way Jim could have played, in my opinion, because I went into the treatment room and Jim was lying on a table. And I just went to look, I went up to him and I went, "Oh, is that all you're here for?" And he had a cut across his shin there, and it was blue and yellow, and it was swollen. And I looked at it and I went, "Is that all you..." And I went to, well, I wasn't going to prod it, I was just pretending actually. And as I did that, Jim leapt completely off the table and, "Get away," you know. And he didn't play. There was no substitutes. And if anybody went on the field half fit, they weren't going to make it the 90 minutes. And you had to make the 90 minutes for Alf without any question about that. You had to be 100% right before he would play you.
But who was to say before the tournament started you weren't going to win the tournament without Jimmy Greaves scoring?
Right,
you know, was playing, you know.
Yeah.
It was,
well, Jimmy was world class, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Definitely.
He was the greatest English goal scorer we've ever had.
Exactly, yeah.
44 goals in 57 appearances.
It's very good.
Can't beat that, can it?
You can't.
And he packed up at the age of 27.
So obviously Alf had to make a change, which he did. Did that change affect the way the side played?
They all said that we changed their system after the first couple of games and played a 4-3-3. But we'd actually done that in Spain about 8 months before, and we beat,
right.
and they were a good side.
They were.
And we beat Spain. We beat Spain. We could have beat them 6 or 7. I mean, if I'd have been any good, we could have scored goals. But he kept it under wraps. And then we in the 3 opening games we played a 4-2-4. It was only in the quarter-finals that he changed it.
Yes.
But he'd done it in training months and months before, and we'd put it in practice against Spain. But he'd put it under wraps. Nobody saw it.
The first 3 games he played with a winger, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he had Johnny Connelly, and then Terry Payne came in, a winger again, and then Kelly, another winger. And maybe because of Jimmy got in, you know, you just don't know, do you?
What was your toughest match then, do you think? The semi-final against Portugal, or was it Argentina? The difficult match?
I think Argentina was
the Argentina game, you just stood and watched. You kept standing and watching and wondering what was going on up there. And you know, there was so much going on off the ball, and it got boring.
What's standing around?
It did. I mean, I can only remember somebody running that way and going past down on one occasion. I can't remember them battering or anything like that. The game just, it seemed it stopped. It started again, and then you got another free kick, and it stopped. It started again. It went on and on and on and on. And it was the longest game I've ever played it.
If you're playing at the back, it may not have been, but if you're playing midfield going forward, that was the hardest.
Well, we knew what to expect from them in the first place because before we went on, I mean, we'd watched them playing. Obstruction was a part of their game, and they just obstructed people. When you try to pass them, they ran and stood in front of you and watched you. When you're a defender, you'd be amazed how long, when nothing's happening, you're just standing there watching what's going on in front. And we never seemed to be able to. Every 5 minutes there was a ball getting put down for a free kick. And then the game never flowed. Never developed. I remember thinking when the final whistle went, thank God that's over. It's a long game, but we were never really under any pressure from them. And I felt that, having seen them before in the other games, they were the team that we had to get something off because it's good players.
Well, when we played Uruguay the first match, when we drew no score, you're playing against really solid defenders, you know, who will not let you pass for any reason at all, you know, whether they do it legally or not. And I think probably the Uruguay match helped us when we played the Argentina match. You know, maybe we were a bit more patient. It was a bit frustrating. We allowed the 0-0 draw to begin with at the beginning because we had other games to play. But once it was sudden death, playing against Argentina I thought was the hardest game, especially because it was the hottest.
Yeah.
It was a really hot day too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I found that was the hardest, quite frankly.
East met West at Goodison Park when Russia and West Germany faced each other in a semi-final of the World Cup. A chance for Russia. Chislenko shoots, but Tilkovsky copes easily. Now it was Germany piling on the pressure. But the great Yashin seemed to be everywhere. Germany kept up their raid on the Russian goal, and only some fine saves by Yashin kept them out. But Haller's shot got through. Germany's much-needed second goal came after 67 minutes. With a terrific shot, Beckenbauer scored. Banishevsky had a good try, but this wasn't his night. Though Russia needed something like a miracle now, they stuck to it. The German goalkeeper fumbled, Pokoyan met it. It was full time. Germany defeated Russia 2-1 and won through to the final.
The team watched the Germans win their semi-final. So what was really impressive about the German team?
Uwe Seeler, little Uwe up front, who was, you know, a great centre forward. They were a very well-balanced team. But also they had the young Beckenbauer, who was, I mean, he was a great attacking player for them, coming from the back. So that's, you know, we saw the strengths that were coming up against as such.
They were always organised. I mean, in every World Cup they've ever won or ever played, you could pick the team when you get to the final of who was going to play in it. They never changed the style. They still play the same. Germany play the same style of football at national level as they do in the league in where they play. The same pattern is always taken on by the national team from that. So players coming from football clubs to join into the national side already know what's expected of them and how they're expected to play.
So Germany then didn't really have too much fear for you then, did it? If you'd just beaten them twice before. So it wasn't a worry to you then, was it?
No.
The big fear for us had been, we thought, was the Brazilians. Obviously, everybody respected the Brazilians. Now, the Brazilians going out, we felt it was going to be even. You know, the Germans, Portugal, the Spaniards. But it turned out that Portugal were the main danger.
On to the Wembley Arena, where so much football history has been made, England and Portugal came out for the other semi-final. Better opponents could not have been imagined. Portugal won the toss, and 90,000 keyed-up soccer fans saw England kick off and sensed that this would be a night to remember as long as football is played.
The Portugal game was tremendous.
It was a football game.
Yeah. The goals came at the right time and they came in the right way, and then when some silly bugger gave a free kick away at the end of the game, gave a penalty away at the end of the game, there was only that last 5 minutes really that we had to live. Because 2-0 it's fine. 2-1 you never know.
I think the first 20 minutes of that game was the best we'd played all the tournament, culminating in that first goal, and we were on our way then.
Who would it be to meet West Germany in the final? Portugal, world-renowned for their brilliance, or England, playing better in each game and even exceeding the promise that all but a few critics believed them to have? Not one goal had they conceded in the competition so far. And by these two great teams, sportsmanship and genuine football skill were certain to be displayed. The first excitement, a shot which the Portuguese goalkeeper did well to clear. After 31 minutes, Pereira only half cleared. The ball went to Bobby Charlton, and Portugal tried to hit back, only to find Banks showing the form he has displayed all along. Pressure again from a corner. A few anxious seconds, and Banks again had the ball away. At the other end, Peters tried a shot without luck. Now a glimpse of the great Eusebio. But England breathed again. England were jubilant at half-time, 1 goal up. Portugal kicked off on the resumption. This game was more than living up to its promise. There was none of the violence and foul temper that marred several matches in the competition. This was football of true international standard.
But when you consider the way they played against Brazil previously, they were pretty brutal against Brazil.
Yeah.
And culminating in Pelé having to go off. They were pretty nasty. It didn't happen in our game.
Neither side dared relax for a second. Eusebio in action again. By clever marking by Nobby Stiles, he had so far been kept out of shooting range. Now came an outstanding moment. Geoff Hurst in possession. Across to Bobby Charlton. Another great goal.
Get in. Hit that one, didn't he?
Would you show that one 4 times more, please? You want to say? He needs to see that.
Wembley was lovely for shooting. It was lovely for shooting Wembley. It was.
Portugal quickly retaliated. A floated centre to see Banks. Jackie Charlton handled the ball away.
Can you show your handballing, Jack? Can we see that again, Rod? You know, when he got underneath it and that was
Eusebio took the kick.
That was the first goal that been scored against England in the whole tournament. Down to you, Jack, again.
Why did you do it, Jack?
No handball. No need to handball it, Jack.
Yeah, it was.
Why did you do it?
At very nearly full time, that prince of sharpshooters, Bobby Charlton, very nearly scored another. England had won 2-1. What a moment for Bobby Moore, captain of England in their first ever World Cup semi-final, and for the great Bobby Charlton. His goals had taken England into the final. Eusebio wept as he left the field. Congratulations to England. 11 good sportsmen whom Alf Ramsey welded into a great team.
We're there now, we're there. And then you're thinking, I hope I'm playing in the final, you know. Then you start to think, even on the field, you know. But getting through a semi-final, in the FA Cup, semi-final, to get beaten in a semi is always so disappointing.
What do you think, Alan, when you got to the final?
Well, it was what we'd been preparing for ages and ages, and Alf had been saying that we will win the World Cup, and we believed in that. But I thought we played really, really well. That, and we, as you're saying, we were on an upward curve then. You know, we were starting to play some really good football, and I think we were a very confident squad going into the final. But at the end of that game, I think we were all chuffed because one, it had been a terrific game after the Argentinian game, and two, that we played our best football for quite a long time, and we were pretty confident, and it was a happy dressing room after that game, I can remember.
And what did Alf say?
Well, he did,
He never really went over the top, did he?
No.
It's very calm.
As Roger said, you know, none of us knew really totally confident that he would pick you at the weekend.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Because even though you played great, 1-2-0 or 2-1.
Well, he would take in consideration the German team, and he would, as he used to say, I've got a pattern of play in my mind, and you knew he would have, and nobody realised. Plus the fact that Jimmy Greaves was getting fitter, getting close to fitness as well, and if Jimmy would have been fit, you know, who knows what Alf would have started with. So there was no cause for.
Nobody ever thought that they were. Recognised that they were going to be in the team at all.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
We used to train at Roehampton, and on the way back from Roehampton to Hendon, we used to sometimes call on a Friday night into the FA to pick up some tickets or passes or whatever. And then when Alf came back to the bus, he would just give you the team. He'd walk through the door and he would stand in the foyer. Am I right or am I wrong?
And he would say the team. Final, though, Bob, did he? He didn't do that for the final.
No, we didn't train that. No. We didn't go to the Bank of England then.
No.
So did you travel all the way from Hendon, all the way to
Roehampton?
Every
day.
Yeah. Wow, that's
every time.
An hour and a half?
Yeah,
every day.
Yeah, but it wasn't some traffic around.
Yeah, it was. We couldn't understand that.
The dinner was good, though.
I think it was because we were winning. You know, it's like if you're a manager, if you're winning, do the same thing.
So you're now in the final. How did Alf tell you that you would be in the team?
Well, he didn't say I would be in the team. I don't remember whether he said it to any of the lads. It was the next day. Maybe I was being cocky or whatever in my own mind, but I was playing. I felt I was playing. You know, I'd played in every game, so I just took it that I was playing, and I don't remember anything different.
So he didn't tell you that you were in the side. You just assumed.
I just assumed I was, and he didn't. And I think it's the way he approached you, and that he give you the impression that you sort of read off to say, "So I'm playing then," but you would never say that, Alf. I mean, but he would come and sort of start talking to you about when you're going to this sort of position. You'll have to be very careful about what you do, and so you're playing. He's told you're playing without ever coming up and saying to him, "You will be playing today." He didn't speak that way, not to me anyway.
So what about you, Alan? When did Alf tell you?
He didn't tell me I was playing till Saturday morning, because I think he. There's two things. I think he waited right to the very last minute for Jimmy, and I know if there'd have been substitutes in those days, I think Jimmy Greaves would have started, and he would have started with Jimmy if there'd have been subs. I think that's probably what.
I don't agree with that. No.
Don't you?
No.
Good point.
No. It was a good play, but I think it worked so well with Roger and Jeff up front. I don't believe he would have changed it. If you were taking guys on the right wing and Martin's going down the left, I think he wanted two wingers, two wide players to get balls in. The goals we're getting, from crosses from Martin.
George, but what I'm saying is, because of all these things going through our heads, we're saying nobody was certain whether they were going to play or not, except the forward players anyway, because he was set with his back four and Gordon.
The defence was.
Yeah, he was set with that, but the forward players, we were like that.
Well, I don't think you needed to be.
With Jimmy Greaves, he's such a fantastic goal scoring record. You wouldn't have believed that he wasn't going to feature.
Jimmy, as you know, had been ill that year.
Oh yeah, he'd been off for about 3 months.
He'd lost that, yard in that area because he was an area player. Let's face it. And
he'd been off for about 3 months. Yeah,
he'd been away and took the edge off his game. There's no doubt about that.
But
you performed so well, my love.
Well, I didn't know. Why should he leave you out?
What, the day of the match that you were playing?
Yeah, but because we've been together for so long, I knew what he wanted from me. He said to me, "You will play right side of Bobby Charlton." He said, "Up on that right hand side." He said, "Congratulations, enjoy your day," type of thing. But I hadn't been involved in any free kicks, corners, dead ball starts on the Thursday, the Friday prior to it, and because we all knew exactly what was wanted from us. We knew where to go in the wall. We knew what to do from free kicks, corners, who was going to take them, and whatever, because we'd done it relentlessly over a period of time, hadn't we?
Yeah. But the 4-3-3 system suited us.
Yeah.
It suited the players that we had. Yeah. And we're just made for it, really.
Well, because we did play a holding role. They make me laugh today. They're saying that the holding player, this new role that they're giving people, and they're thinking of taking someone with England to Germany this time in the holding. They're looking for a holding player. We were playing that 40 years ago. Yeah. Nobby played it as good as anybody, and he sat there, and then there was Martin, Bobby and myself who could it. We just interchanged around here in the middle of the pitch, but Nobby was the holding player.
Were we playing in this, Jack?
He was a good one as well.
So did Alf have any special instructions for you, Jack?
He used to say to me, "Alf."
He did talk to you after all then.
He did talk to me.
You keep telling us he never talked to you for 5 years.
He told me again.
So what did he say to you, Jack? What did he say to you?
He said to me, "You will be responsible for every ball to the far post."
Yes. You said it again, Jack.
You will be responsible to every one of you to the far post. Every ball to the far post. And if Bobby Moore decides to go on one of his runs, you'll be there to cover for him. In other words, go in behind him. And I used to say, "Yes, Alf. Yes, Alf." And then he used to say to him, "Do you want me to kick him?" And he used to say, "Oh, no, Jack. You will only do what is necessary in the circumstances." Alf. You had to line up in two lines, and right away, about 100 yards away or more, there was this little white round circle, and that was where you had to walk to.
You're so excited, so you're on edge all the time.
When we were going up the tunnel, all you could hear was a buzz, like a beehive at the end of this tunnel.
Any minute we'll hit the sound.
There was an explosion of noise and colour that just drove most thoughts out of your mind.
the sound sort of ripples all the way around, and as you walk out,
it's weird, that it was incredible. It scares you, but it doesn't half-lift you. It must have been frightening for the German lads.
Bobby Moore and Uwe Seeler were out in the middle exchanging international compliments and meeting the referee, Dienst of Switzerland. You might call this the moment of truth for Alf Ramsey. His 3 years of team building, as the Germans kicked off, coming up for its crucial test. England looked unfamiliar in their red shirts. A long shot gave Banks no trouble. And what a test for the 22 star players, 90 minutes away from the game's highest glory or defeat. In possession was that all-round player, Sigi Helt, moving into a position spelling danger for England. Banks alert as usual. The West German attack had bite and purpose. On they came again. An English defensive lapse gave the ball to Haller. And that was it. One down after 12 minutes spurred the English attack. No time for lethargy or half measures. They swept into German territory. Tilkowski cleared, only to put Bobby Charlton in possession. Another fine save, but there was no stopping England. This time a chance came to West Ham's Geoff Hurst. It's the equaliser! Splendidly matched, these teams. German top scorer Emmerich had a chance. Fortunately, Gordon Banks anticipated his shot. England piled on the pressure. Bobby Charlton inspired a movement which, with just a little more luck, could have put England in the lead. A big sigh of relief for West Germany when the ball was clear. Play was faithfully reflected by the score, 1-1 at half-time.
How did you feel the game was going? How the tactics worked?
The first goal, when Moro goes on the free kick, gets on that free kick, he's 25, 30 yards down. Yeah. He's just out there, you know. But Alf Ramsey knew who was going to do this and who was going to do that. And so he knew, you know. Moro's gone out and he's out there and he's not that great balling for Geoff.
Yeah, when Bobby slotted that cross, he was a long way from Geoff, wasn't he?
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. He's right out of position. So if we get it on the break, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? But he knew that. Oh yeah, he was good, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Bob, he got his legs taken from under him, just put the ball down, looked up, knocked it in, and Geoff was going.
But that was another West Ham move, wasn't it? Put it into space, didn't he?
He puts the ball down and he hesitates a second. Yeah. And then he waiting for Geoff to kind of pull the defender away and then run into the near post. And the perfect ball in, wasn't it?
But as England kicked off, playing right to left and quickly built up an attack, excitement made the Wembley atmosphere electric. England had to score. And if the prayers of millions could inspire them, surely a goal was not far off. The West German defence was like a stone wall. Again, England launched an offensive. And again, the German blockade could not be penetrated. Play swung to the other end. West Germany threatened the English goal, but Banks, playing brilliantly, was in position to deal with it. The ball goes to Bobby Charlton. Charlton to Hunt on the left. Despite strong German threats, the English defence could not be rattled. It's there! Peters has scored! For the Wembley thousands and the millions at home, one thought, victory. England, spurred by their 2-1 lead, played like a team inspired to clinch a win. In the dying minutes of the match, the jubilant English supporters' nerves were strained to breaking point. The World Cup was within England's reach. If only they could keep the lead for a few desperate minutes against the West Germans. Now a team playing their hearts out to keep in the running. Germany would not let up. Then, seconds before the final whistle, agony for England. Weber scored. It had to be extra time.
People always talk about England's third goal. Was the Germans' equaliser a goal?
My responsibility was, because I was tall,
Yes.
to line the end up the ball with Gordon.
That's
I think
right.
Nobby was next to me though, that's for sure, because I knew he was there. And they would, as you know, you line up 6 yards away.
That'll be pushed back another 2.
Yeah, so that was the way it was. And then suddenly he took it, didn't he? Emirates just took it out of the blue, and it kind of
hit it into the mass.
But looking back, we were so deep behind that wall.
We
were so deep. We were virtually back on Gordon. I think we kind of maybe we panicked a bit with seconds to go. We kind of dropped back behind the wall. We should have pushed up more, so it would less opportunity for them to have scored. Really. If you look at it, we were so far behind the wall.
I always blame George.
Do you? Oh, thanks very much.
I did actually, because he was on the right-hand side of the wall and the ball was driven down that side and it hit him on the knee and flew across the goals.
Oh.
I always thought it hit George on the knee. Did it?
Yeah.
It did, and it shot across the goals and it hit Haller under the arm. And if you ever watched the video, Bob put his hands in the air.
Somebody handballed it though. Somebody said
It definitely hit Haller under the arm.
Yeah.
And there was a ball, Bob was standing behind him and he put his hands up and appealed it for a handball. Because if it hadn't hit him under the arm, it would have gone straight across the goals.
Yeah.
And it killed the pace and it went there and he got there a second in front of Ray Wilson. And he just prodded it in. I mean, 100th of a second. And the ball slotted it in. And then that was all over.
Then it wasn't a free kick in the first place.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they had a...
They'll give the free kick away anyway in the first place.
Yeah, well...
Don't you stop.
The first period of extra time proved to the full the value of Ramsey's training methods. England began with a vigour and speed astounding after the gruelling 90 minutes they'd already played. Charlton and his fellow sharpshooters came back time after time in the Ramsey spirit, believing that with sustained attack the goals must come. Then Jeff Hurst, cool and collected, had the ball in the net. No, it bounced out. Goal claimed England. No goal, protested the Germans. The referee consulted the linesman, who'd been in line with the posts, and goal it was. England led again, 3-2 now, and in spite of a German attack early in the final period of extra time, Bobby Moore's men had thrown off all signs of tiredness. It was West Germany who were now noticeably the slower team. When there was only a minute to go, England still had no thought of being content with that one-goal lead. Racing to beat the whistle, Jeff Hurst saw an opening in the defence and achieved the hat-trick.
Can I ask you about Jeff Hurst's 2 out of the 3 goals, the second goal and the third goal?
I wore contact lenses. I was about a yard this side of the halfway line. I've got on the ball and I've heard the call off Bally, my roommate, and I heard him call, and I've just played it on the call, and I've hit the long ball up, and he's raced round onto it. Squared it perfectly for Jeff, and Jeff's come in and hit it, and then Roger followed up. Well, I'm on the halfway line. I can't see anything.
I was a long way from it, and I was more involved in watching the linesman, the referee, and what was going on, and the fact that the Germans were starting to go. But Roger, I think, made up people's minds, because Roger was standing there, and he could have knocked it into the net. But he didn't. He put his hands up and turned and walked away. Well, he convinced me, so he must have convinced the linesman and the referee as well.
I agree with you. Strikers are greedy anyway. And if he could have gotten the end of that, I think Roger would have gone for it.
And what about the one at the end, the sensational goal, which, put you home and dry?
You've got to understand one centre-back and another centre-back. Bobby Moore was a player who would always get the ball down, always want to play it, always have a look, always make for his pass. And I remember this ball getting driven in from the right-hand side, and Bob took it on his chest and he dropped it to his feet, and then he turned and put his foot on the ball and looked up the field. I mean, what you should be doing is giving the ball to the goalkeeper who can pick it up and belt it out to the stand out the other side, or hump it out in the direction which it came, because they'd already shouted from the touchline, game's over, it's finished, time's up, and they were giving... And I remember standing there and I'm yelling at Bob, get rid of the thing anywhere. Not Bob. And he just started run with the ball. 2 German players opened up like that, anticipated him making a pass, and they opened up and Bob ran between them. And then he went into the middle of our half, and he suddenly stopped, checked, touched the ball with his foot, and I stood watching him. And then he knocked the ball for Jeff, and it went over his right-hand shoulder and bounced head high, and Jeff just knocked it on and went and tried to kick it into the stand and managed to hit the top corner of the goals, which is what Jeff says. It's true. He said he didn't go for a shot. He went just to kick the ball and waste the time of bringing the ball back from behind the goals. But, Bobby Moore was that you never knew what he was going to do.
As you were talking and you couldn't describe it, that's exactly what you did. When you're saying it. I would be. Get it in the stands as well, but not Bob, no.
Racing to beat the whistle, Geoff Hurst saw an opening in the defence and achieved the hat-trick.
So it's all over. You've won it. Did you think you deserved it? Did you think that over the 90 minutes and extra time you were the better side?
Yes.
I agree with that completely.
I agree with that. Completely agree with that.
We've not conceded a goal until the last 10 minutes in the semi-final. So we were strong. And like Jack, and I think all the lads will say, we feel we deserved it.
Bobby Moore led England up to the Royal Box to receive the Jules Rimet Cup and the winners' medals. To be here as winners of the FA Cup has often been described as the summit of a footballer's ambition. How much greater was the triumph they enjoyed now.
But it was a fact. We were a better team than them. Franz Beckenbauer told me exactly that afterwards. He said, we were just glad to be here, and you wanted to win more than we did.
If you think back about it, just you as a spectator, because you were watching it all, if you were just watching it, you can't remember any time when we deserved to lose a game.
Once the final whistle had gone, I thought, wow, this is probably the greatest thing that's ever happened to football in this country ever. And it's the case.
Little kids come up to me now and they say, you're the man with no teeth, aren't you? You did the dance. And it's nice to be remembered after all these years. Yeah.
Not a moment goes by, that we don't think about winning the World Cup, because it is the greatest prize in sport, really.
You can say that you're the best, and nobody can argue that, because you've won the best tournament, the hardest tournament, against the best players, and we deserved it. We were the best team in the tournament.